Love it. Having a good time. All right. So that being said, my final guest for the night. Hey, Igor, I see you there. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Absolutely, Igor. Good to see you in the chat, man. Good to see you all here tonight. So my final guest is somebody that you guys have seen him in possibly in the comment section in the chat, and we've had a couple back and forth. But last time he was here, he popped in at the last minute, and unfortunately, I was going off the air, and so I definitely told him to come back. And we've had a couple of talks via the chat before, but I'm glad that he is here tonight, and we're going to finish off the broadcast today with a conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel, The Nerd Man. What's going on, man?
Hello, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm very good. Very, very pleased after watching this movie. Very.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear that for sure, bro.
I mean, the first thing, sorry, hi, I'm the Nerd Man. And yes, I've had some back and forths, and we don't necessarily agree on everything, but I want to say, like, just a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's been fighting for the Snyder Cut, because what I watched yesterday was, for me, it wasn't perfect, but it was something that I've been looking forward to see since childhood. I always thought the Snyder Cut was going to be better. I thought, come on, how can it be worse? Like,
right, yeah.
And I had problems with Zack Snyder's former movies. Man of Steel is something I have some issues with. Batman v Superman I like a lot, but I have some problems with it as well.
Okay.
Justice League, so Justice League, I was like, okay, there's going to be some things that I'm probably not going to like, but all in all, I know it's going to be like a much, much better movie. And it went against my wildest dreams. Really, it was amazing. Really, really. And I think it's, for me, the best movie in the DC that DC's probably ever made, really. Close to Dark Knight, but I think for me, a little bit above, because it has all the rest of my favorite heroes. So yeah, that's my introduction. I want to talk a lot about Justice League with you.
Very well done. Very, very well done. Very well done.
So yeah, this is just, just going through like every single character here. It's just there are people who are hating on this movie now who didn't like Zack Snyder before, or didn't like some of the things he was doing with the DCU. Yeah. And I'm one of those people who, I was never a hater of Zack Snyder. I've always loved Watchmen. Thought that was brilliant. But I was one of those people. But you have to, don't lie about this, right? Like, it's a movie. It's a very good movie. You know damn well, if you sit down 100 comic book fans at random, 100 Justice League fans at random, to watch this film, at least 90 of them would like it. And that's how I view things, right?
If they're being honest, I think because there's a lot of, because you and I both know, man, comic book fans, like, everybody sees those things that, like, they have always dreamed it's going to be like, right? To see a Justice League movie or a superhero movie in general. And so a lot of times when people don't see those things, they get very frustrated. They get very upset. And it's not just superhero films. It's not DC films. It's all kinds of different fandoms. If people don't see what they've always imagined represented, then they get upset about it. But I think you're right. What I'm seeing is, and I think it's a testament to, like, the scores that the movies even still get, is that even people, I think, who, like you said, they haven't appreciated Zach's vision for all this. they're at a different place now, and then they come in and they see this movie, and if they're being honest with themselves, they have to look at it and go, "Dang, that's a Justice League movie. That's
It's
not
a Justice League movie.
that's not just Zack Snyder, doing some, dark stuff or whatever. This is a real to life style Justice League movie, and
Okay.
you know,
Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to start off there and also one thing I must say that we've got into some things together, and I don't know. I just want to make sure you understand this. When I disagree with someone, that isn't a personal I dislike you, right? Like, do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, that's
Yeah,
just
no,
I disagree, right? And I will always respectfully disagree. So I've always liked your channel. Always found it fun to listen to you, hear the other side of opinions that sometimes I'm against or don't fully agree with. But yeah, it's I've always liked you, so don't think otherwise. But
that's fine. That's fine, man. And I, you know what? And I'll be honest with you. I'll just start right up, man, and say I apologize to you because I know that there was one night you were in the chat, and I kind of took a couple things that you said, and I think I kind of ran with that just because I've watched some of your videos. I've watched your channel, and I've listened to some of the stuff that you said about various topics, that are obviously close to my heart. With certain people and things, and look, different people are going to have a different opinion and different view. My thing is, like, I want you to know I'm not upset at you. I'm not mad at you either. And even what I said there was like, I was not trying to attack you. So I apologize if it came across as that, or that I was mad at you, because that's not what it is.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you.
I think it is.
And this is just me being honest here for everybody. Yeah. It's hard for me to judge sometimes with the way, especially when it's via a comment, or a comment or a chat thing or whatever, like where somebody's coming at me from, because I've had so many people come at me who are not looking to have a conversation about it, but are looking to either attack me personally, tell me how I'm just an idiot, and and so on and so forth, and in not so many nice words. So I'll be honest with you. Sometimes, like when somebody comes in kind of hot on something, like they may not be, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still kind of surfing through that, where it's like, I need to be careful that I don't take things more personally, because sometimes people just have a hot take on something. They just have
a hot take Tuesday. I still have to get you that teacher. I need
yeah, man. So sometimes people just have an impassioned view themselves, and they're not necessarily meaning that towards me, but it just comes across that way to me. And so, yeah, man. So we're good, man. Don't think that I don't think that you hate me. I don't think that you dislike me or whatever. Yeah. But I appreciate you saying what you said. So
that's cool, man. I mean, I want to talk about like just with you. Just I think it'll be interesting for people who listen to, just from the perspective of somebody who was a bit iffy about Zack Snyder and why, and then like why this Justice League is so impressive to me. But yeah, I mean, the first thing I just want to like start off with is, so I've always had a problem with the depiction of Superman in Zack Snyder movies. It's been my main point of contention. And it's really difficult to kind of describe or, talk about what I mean in a little kind of, box there. But I agree with you that, I think people are way too precious about interpretations. I think it is fanciful and absurd to want a Chris Reeve Superman in 2021. I don't think that will work. I think Chris Reeves was marvelous. I love Chris Reeves. Again, we have shared that Superman is both our favorite superheroes. Like the Trinity, basically for me, are like the top superheroes. Then Flash, Shazam, all of those guys. But yeah, so I get that Man of Steel, for instance, let me talk to you about Man of Steel, right? That I get why everyone likes it. I think that technically, the action, everything like that, the music, the score, the cinematography, all of that is very, very good. Where I had a problem with it is the writing. And then so I would put things in two kinds of critiques, which is like a fanboy critique, which doesn't really count. That's just, I wouldn't do it that way, right? So it's something that I look at a film and I say I wouldn't present Superman that way. That's a fanboy critique. That's a subjective critique. And then there's objective things that are about the film itself, where it was like the dialogue, the plot holes, certain leaps in logic and stuff like that. That's what, and I don't want to talk about it for too long, but that's where I had a problem with Man of Steel, mainly from the thing of the way it presented Superman. I feel was much more Dr. Manhattan, right? So this is my subjective critique. It was a little bit more Dr. Manhattan than it was Superman. I feel like Snyder was still maybe trapped and influenced by him doing this wonderful Watchmen movie, and still in that line of logic, and seeing Superman more as an alien than an American immigrant, like the great American immigrant. And he was devoid to me of humanity, and I didn't care what was happening to him. So by the time it comes to like a 45-minute, hour-long action scene at the end, I was a little bit divorced from what was going on, because it's two invincible people just punching each other and destroying a bunch of crap, right? Then, but BVS loved the film. I thought it was a great political thriller. Everyone talks about Civil War being a political thriller. I think BVS is the political thriller that was really, sorry, not Civil War, the one before that. But I think BVS is a great political thriller. Again, didn't like Superman in it. But in this movie, Zack Snyder did something different for me for once, and I think it worked really, really well. And that is, he put the Justice League in the movie, rather than kind of like Watchmen-esque versions of the characters. Okay. He actually put the Justice League, and in 2 minutes of watching Cavill come back on that farm, I was completely invested in this Superman and emotionally connected.
So let me ask you a question about that then. Because the Superman who comes back, and I'm trying to say this because I've said that I'm not going to do spoilers until but the Superman that comes back is pretty much the character. I mean, he's the character that we saw in Man of Steel. Yeah, because when you're talking about the alien part of Superman, like or Clark, okay, Kal-El, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't get the alien part of Clark except for what the world sees on the outside. But Clark, the entire time, I think that's Clark's, that's his struggle, is because yes, he knows that well, up to that point, honestly. Okay, so in Man of Steel background, he doesn't even know really where he comes from. He knows that he was on a ship, but he doesn't know any of that background. He doesn't know anything about Krypton. He doesn't know anything about the backstory of where he come from, about Jor-El and Lara and all that stuff. He doesn't know anything about that until Zod shows up. So that whole time, he's Clark, man, and it shows him growing up. That's what I love about the flashbacks, because it shows him as a kid in school, where it's not about him being an alien. It's about him being a kid in a classroom where his powers manifest, and he doesn't know what to do with it. That's not about being an alien to me. It's about him.
That's a really good scene, man.
It's about him being this kid and being so vulnerable and terrified and running and hiding in the closet, where his mom has to come and talk him down. And that sets up later, for other things, where he has to revisit that moment. And so there's that. And then there's, even from there, it's like with him on the bus with his friends and everything, when the bus goes over and he has to, and he saves the bus, right? And then and then coming to terms with some of that stuff, because yes, he is that ultimate, American immigrant stuff. But see, that's the total vibe that I get from Man of Steel, is that
It's interesting.
yeah, because like that's why like I'm completely disconnected from what you said there, because like that's all I see is that he's Clark, and that's what I actually love about Man of Steel, and why I walked out of Man of Steel going, this is the Superman movie that I always wanted to see, because I loved the John Byrne revamp in the
Oh,
80s,
did you?
in
I,
86.
yeah.
That's my Superman. And see,
I
that's what
think
I
I
love.
think I think Man of Steel is more based on Earth. It's got John Byrne in it, but it's got a lot of Earth One,
Yeah,
Superman,
maybe,
and
maybe, but I'll be honest with you,
some
man.
Birthright
I
as well.
totally see that. I totally see that John Byrne thing where they finally
Mm-hmm.
made Clark the real person. Because in Man of Steel, he's, yes, later on when he's like discovering who he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's never really Kal-El in that movie, because he doesn't really have any connection
So
to
that's the
his
thing. A lot of
to his
people say is
alien.
that he wasn't. He was. He that Zack Snyder had planned that he wasn't going to be Superman by the end of the movie. It's like this is his first day. He's still learning to be Superman, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
So
idea of the arc.
yeah, so he's
Yeah.
never really Kal-El, because he doesn't have any connection to his alien heritage. And so he's Clark, and that's what he I see him the entire movie fighting for his humanity. Even in the face of General Zod showing up and and calling him out and doing all those things, and him discovering the ship, and and having a suit and all these other things. It's like
Mm.
through that whole thing, he is fighting for his humanity. That's why there's
Yeah.
like powerful scenes in there where he goes back and and he's
You're right. I mean, don't get me wrong.
like when Zod shows up, for example, right? Like,
Mhm.
where does Clark go? Does Clark go off on some quest or whatever? He's been on this, I love the fact that he was out on a search to kind of find himself and figure
Mhm.
himself out, for a long time. But then when Zod shows up, what's he do? He goes home. He goes to his pastor of all people. And my gosh, look, as a minister myself, I can't.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a pastor. I've been a minister for many years. So I can't imagine if that was all really going down. That the guy
Yeah.
that's happening to comes to me, like, I'm finding out that there's aliens. Okay, I'm discovering that all myself, and now this guy, who's been a kid. I've seen this kid grow up. He's grown up in my church. Like, I've been there for
Yeah.
all these things for him. That
Do you
kid
think the
shows up
pastor
and
knew Clark Kent? You think the pastor knew Clark Kent? I don't think he knew him. I think that Clark just went to a random
no, I definitely
pastor.
think he
You
knew.
think he knew? Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely knew, because that was Clark.
But then he's just admitting that he's Superman to like somebody.
Well. But in
Smallville,
Smallville, in that version of Smallville, I think most of the town, there's a large portion of the town. I mean, Pete Ross obviously knows, and I know in the greater continuity, Pete Ross knew, Lana knows, there's others who know. But look, I think that they made it pretty clear. It was pretty well telegraphed. What's that?
You think the town knew?
I think a lot of people in town knew,
because like this,
especially when Zod shows up. Especially
when
Zod shows up and like blows up the town. Yeah.
But this is the thing though, because Superman is still trying to keep his secret identity, I presume, by the end from the government and stuff like that. But then he states that, I'm just a boy from Kansas. Yeah. And I always thought that was really, because it was one of those things in the film that happened quite a lot where I was like, that's a leap of logic there. That character seems silly to me, because why would you narrow down where they can find your identity if you've just broken a $1 billion satellite just to hide it?
I agree with that. That's one of the weird things that I will agree with you is in Man of Steel, is when he says, I think, and I've talked about that with other people on stream and different things. Is like, I think it's a very weird thing for him to say. I get where it comes from, because I think that Clark still has a little bit of naivety about himself, where like he's not thinking about the fact that, like, okay, I just showed up, I got this suit on, I'm flying around, I just saved the entire planet. Look, you're not going to find me. I'm from Kansas. Like,
Yeah, you just narrowed it down a lot. Can I ask you a question? Do you like Man of Steel more than BVS, or the same, or how would you?
I love BVS. I just saw BVS the Ultimate Edition again in a theater 2 weeks ago here in Detroit, and I gotta say, for as much as I love BVS, I absolutely love BVS, dude, there were parts that I cried in here.
Yeah.
You know, my son, his favorite movie. My son is 16. His favorite movie has been Man of Steel.
You're not that old, are you? Your son's 16.
Yeah,
wow.
man, I got an 18-year-old too. I got an 18-year-old. I'm 44. I'm 44.
Looking good, brother.
So, thank you, man. I'm 44, but you know, my son, he's 16, and his middle name is Jor-El, by the way.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Yeah, and he told me after seeing after seeing BVS a couple weeks ago that like Man of Steel had been his favorite superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
BVS now, after seeing that on the big screen, the Ultimate Edition like that on the big screen again, and now being a little bit older and being able to take in some of it more, he said, man, he says, Dad, he says, I think BVS now is my favorite superhero movie of all time. I love BVS for what it brings to the table, and look, I have defended BVS from the very get-go to a bunch of people who have attacked that film over.
I had a channel before the current channel where I did a lot of content on BVS, breaking down like all the criticisms being way too harsh. How can you criticize a movie for being too dark? I don't understand that. If all you have to do to invalidate that criticism is to say, well, there's good dark movies. That's all you have to say. Yeah. There's not. Sin City is a dark movie. It's good. So your criticism's invalidated. You can't criticize a movie for being too dark. It's ridiculous. You criticize it for the script.
There's so much that happens in that movie that I think that people don't even like. You can tell that people don't that they're just not paying attention to what's going on. You know,
right?
I mean, like people will harp.
The Martha thing, they don't understand it. He had the PTSD flashback, basically. It was like he basically realized at that moment that he was Joe Chill. He had become Joe Chill. He had become the people who killed his parents. And that was what that scene was getting at. And I think anybody who loves Batman lore should have known. I think there's some clunky things with that scene, don't get me wrong, because I don't know why Superman's saying Martha, like it's his mom. I feel like Martha and Clark are close. I don't know why he's calling her Martha. So I think there's a few clunky bits to that, but in general, the idea of it, I completely get, and I don't understand why everyone's like, oh yeah, they just became best friends because it's Martha.
Yeah.
So what are the name with Susan? It's like, dude, that's...
But to answer the question,
but
to answer the question, I think that if you pin me down and you say I gotta choose one over the other, I gotta go with Man of Steel because Man of Steel means so much to me as a movie. Between Clark and his father, the connection there, because anything with fathers and sons really gets to me. Yeah, it really resonates because I didn't have my dad back in my life until I was in my late 20s. I played catch with my dad for the first time when I was 35. Right, so you know, so that was like a long time coming. That was a long time trying to develop that relationship and get to that point. And then I love seeing. I think one of the things I love, because we were talking about Christopher Reeve, I love the Christopher Reeve movies. I grew up on those, man. Those were my jam, man. That was how I was.
But they don't work in a context now.
But it's not realistic. Yeah, it's not realistic. Like, and I finally heard somebody say this about the Marvel movies, and I get it now because I know that Kevin Feige has talked about how like every time they make a Marvel movie, they watch, you know, Superman. And so it is, because it's this romanticized version of superheroes that the world just accepts them. Which I look at Superman and I say, well, if Superman showed up tomorrow in real life and some guy just had these godlike powers, everybody would absolutely freak out, and they would take the exact same route that Batman takes, that Bruce Wayne takes, in saying, hold on, we got to figure something out, because if this guy turns rogue, what if this guy is lying to us?
I've never had a problem with that aspect of the movie. I like that. I like that aspect of Man of Steel, and I like that aspect of, obviously, like,
and I love that.
don't think they did it enough. I think if you compare it to like something like Independence Day, when the aliens come, like the city goes nuts, it goes crazy, everyone's driving. You don't really see that in A Man of Steel, and I don't think the scale of it, of like, oh, aliens have just arrived, really kind of like presented. Like, yeah, the government are running around after Lois and doing stuff, but you don't see people like, whoa, you know, until the world engine actually starts destroying shit. You don't see really people in a panic. It's almost like they're all right with aliens coming. All right, some guy goes on the news and he's like, you know, says, oh, Lois knows who he is and Lois should give him up. But it doesn't seem to me like, holy shit, like aliens are here, and this, you know, that's my kind of thing.
Well, I don't think that they show a lot of what's going on. They show a little bit, but most of the stuff that they show is like people at the Daily Planet, seeing that, you know, seeing the Zod transmission, for example, right? And being like, you can tell that there's a fear, but there's not necessarily a panic.
Yeah.
You know, like we're just going to run out into the street because here they come and they're like, hey, you know, this deal. So I think that it's more of a thing of like, well, who is this? You know, because God presents them with a mystery. It's not just hey, we're aliens and we're here, we're going to kill you. It's not that at first. It's hey, we're aliens. We're
we want the person.
For a guy. We're looking for a guy, and if you give him to us, we're all good. And you know, and you know, kind of paints that picture, you know, like to people like kind of trying to throw them off, and just wanting the world to give up Kal-El. And so the thing is, I think at that time, from that point on, for most of it, all we're seeing is really the military. We're seeing, you know, the newspaper, you know, trying to look at, you know, the angles and stuff, and having to do what journalists would have to do, you know, and we see that with journalists who go into war and into, you know, various parts of the world where there are major scary things going on, but they have to kind of
keep that composure. No, I understand that.
Man of Steel is just very, very personal for me, and I really love seeing Superman discovering himself throughout that entire movie, from being a kid to being a young man to being then on, like you said, on the job the first day as Superman. And trying to work his way through that, and even taking on Zod, growing and learning through that battle, even. And then I'm going to be honest with you, one of the most powerful moments in cinema, I think, is when he kills Zod, and then the impact that has on him. We've never seen anything like that before. Like, look, we've seen Batman shove a bomb down a guy's pants and then walk away smiling as it blew up and the guy died. We've never seen death impact a superhero like that moment. And so when I hear people like mock that moment, man, it so throws me off, because I'm just like,
I mean,
that's such a powerful moment for me.
Look, I wanted to talk to you about Justice League, because I want to celebrate Justice League, but I love the passion behind your defense. I was just going to say that the reason I was asking you about Man of Steel and BVS, right, is because I just saw a significant improvement in the writing department. I think David Goyer as a writer is very, very hit and miss. I think what is his name, Chris Terrio, is a much, much better writer. And I think Zack Snyder really has proven through Watchmen and this film in particular that he's really a filmmaking genius. But he's a genius. Sometimes geniuses have too many ideas, right? They have too much going on in their head, too much that they're trying to communicate. And I think when he's paired with a great writer who can really put down a strict storyline, like in the Justice League, because I don't think there's anything. The only critiques I have of this Justice League film are fanboy critiques. They're critiques of, I wouldn't have done it like that. I have nothing on a story level on a story level as a critique of this film. It moves. It's you know, it's kind of energetic. It's got heart. It's got, you know, it's got soul, and it feels really, really easy to watch. And so the things that as I said, I don't like about it. I don't want to go into spoilers.
Yeah, I know. I know it's hard.
Can we talk about the what's it called, the nightmare thing? Because and the future plans for Zack Snyder's.
Yeah, we could talk about like the stuff that's in the storyboards and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, he talked about that was going to be the future. Yeah.
Right. So basically, if I look at the Justice League film, I think that there's a lot of I don't know this. I don't know who's responsible. It's either Zack Snyder listening to fans' critiques, or maybe the studio maybe making Zack Snyder compromise in a few places. But I think all of the body of the movie up until the nightmare sequence is just excellent. The stuff that Flash does, the way Flash moves in this movie, it's just a genius way of capturing that movement. Wonder Woman is on point. Shout out to every single one of the parents in this movie, from Hippolyta to Dr. Silas to, you know, all of the support. I even like Amber Heard in this movie. Like, it was really like crazy.
That's funny.
But where I think that Zack Snyder then had free reign was on the reshoots, right? It was Zack Snyder again, free reign. And as you said before we came on the video, like, you're willing to see it, you're willing to give it a go, but you feel deeply a little bit uncomfortable with where that scene looks like it's going, especially if it's the second movie.
Yeah, not just the scene, but like when I hear that that the entire second movie would be nothing but that, I'm just, it gives me some pause.
Exactly.
To kind of say, okay, what is that movie? It's not that I'm against it, and it's not that I would look at it and go, okay, I don't like this. It's just,
what is it exactly? Yeah.
What is it exactly? And then, but it would kind of take me to a point where, like, we've seen this full arc where it literally goes from the innocence of Man of Steel to the turning the corner at BVS.
I have a problem because I know,
and then Justice League kind of bringing it to fruition with all these characters coming up, facing something like Steppenwolf and Darkseid behind the scenes, and then bringing that down to the end of what Justice League is, and then the bottom completely falls out. Then you see with the Nightmare, and then my only thing is you gotta restore it at the end. You gotta, so that you have this full arc that it comes up. It comes up. It turns the corner. They win, but the bottom falls out then, and obviously something's still wrong there. And now, how do you come up out of that? And so yeah.
I mean, it's always possible, but but look, put it this way. And I'll do it like so that I don't go back into Man of Steel. But put it this way, I feel like this is the first time we've seen the Justice League. This is the first time we've seen Superman, and they're fun. Wonder Woman's fun. Wonder Woman was fun from her own movie, but like Flash is fun. Wonder Woman's fun. Superman's fun. Cyborg is excellent. Shout out to Ray Fisher. He did a tremendous job in this movie. So I want to see a little bit more of that before we go into a dark, twisted, world where Batman and Superman are once again at conflict. We kind of did that already. Like, we kind of did that with BVS. We've kind of deconstructed Superman and had him say, I don't believe people can be good in this world, or everyone can turn bad in this world, or something like that. He says in BVS. Yeah. We've had that, and that broke my heart watching that as a Superman fan. I'm like, Superman, don't say that. I love the movie, but like those little bits were just like daggers to me. I'm just like, nah, Superman would never say something like that. But fair enough, he's done it. It's in the past, but now we've got this. And I just think that, Darkseid is better than Thanos.
Look, I just real quick, 187. You know, I love you, man. I know that you're a huge Marvel fan, but look, dude. Yeah, you know what, Thanos. My problem with Thanos is Thanos does this. It's just over. You don't see the real impact of it. You don't really see the deaths. You don't see those things. Dark Side has literally taken over hundreds of thousands of worlds, and I don't even have to see that, but I already know the Dark Side like mutilated everything. Like the Dark Side. Look, like I said before, I get it. Yes, maybe Thanos went and became a farmer at the end, and I know Jarbo talked about this earlier tonight that like his thing was just to come in, do his thing, and leave. But like you can actually question, is Thanos a bad guy in that movie, or is he just trying to do something that he thinks is going to help somehow by kind of pruning the universe, where it's like Darkseid, he just wants to kill everybody or enslave everybody, and that's it. That's his end game. He ain't even trying to to play anything else, man. Yes, Film Gob. I there you go.
Yeah, so I was just saying that I just want Zack Snyder to just stay in this lane for just a little bit. Let it build up for 2 movies. Let them go on a couple of adventures together. I wish there's some things I wish for the film. Going back to Man of Steel, I'm not a big, Justice League murderers kind of guy, so there's certain things I have a distaste for, but the main thing was just like seeing that last scene. I was like, yeah, that's an interesting movie, but I don't want, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, and Lois, dead essentially, just to further the story of the conflict of men, like Superman and Batman. I don't.
Don't you think though that even if they're saying that the Justice League 2 would be this nightmare thing,